Hi, I'm Cheryl, and today we're not going to do a card today. I'm just going to talk to you. No, I'm joking. We'll get to a card. But first, I wanted to show you this card. And I got this with my last order from Stampin Up. And they send you these nice little thank you cards every now and then. And I just wanted to show it to you because I wanted to point out that you don't need to spend days working on a card to make a cute little card. Look how cute this is. Isn't that adorable? And all this is one of their little panels cut out and put on I think it's a 4.5 by 5 inch white card base, and just a little bit of flowers that has been sponged and glittered, and a sentiment. And it's the cutest little thing. So having said that you don't need to spend a lot of time to make an adorable little card, this is the card. This is the card we're going to do today. So, yeah, I spent a little bit more time on my card than they did on theirs, I think. So, and there's the inside. So you can put a little something extra on the inside of the card too. So let's just jump right in and get started on making the card. It's a 6 by 6 card, so you do need 12 inch by 12 inch cardstock. So you cut a piece 12 by 6 and then score and fold it at 6 inches. This panel piece here was cut out from, and of course it's at the bottom of the pile, from the Oakberry Lane collection from Heartfelt Creations. And that's actually, that's it right there. But I used a smaller one. They have 6 by 6 by 6s of these, and I do need to cut that out, so I need to find it. There it is. Look at these. These are cute too. Look, that's very pretty. Oh, maybe I should use that one. Well, I'll get this one out. But let me show you too. They have different size ones. Look at all these cute little squirrels and stuff. Ah, here we go. So they have little panels like this. You can just cut them out, slap them down on a card base, put a little something something on it, and a sentiment. And they even have sentiments and little things, banners, and all that go with it. So, anyway, yeah, we're going to just stick with this one, I think. Or this one. Nah, I'm going to do this one, make it different. I'm going to use that one. That can go on the floor. And I just have piles of stuff here. I used a bunch of markers and sponge daubers here. I have the Stampin' Blend markers. And I have lovely lipstick, light and dark. And then I'm also gonna try doing this too. This is the Pink Pirouette light. I have Granny Apple Green, Crumb Cake, and Pineapple Punch I used on my card. And then I have some little die cuts here already cut out. And those are, see this nice little board I made? It's a magnetic sheet on a piece of pretty sturdy, I guess chipboard is what you would call it. And I can put all my magnets for my project on it. I can take the whole thing over to my Big Shot. That was something I was working on. Didn't take very long to do. But anyway, it's a big swirly leaf die and a little swirly leaf die. And those came from, let's see, where is it? Ah, here we go. Cut, Mat, Create 2. Okay, so they're right there and there. We need 2 of the little ones, 1 of the big one. And then from Tea Together, and part of the celebration is you can, with a $100 order, you can get the die set that goes with it also. Or if you don't want the die set, you can always just do a fussy cutting and cut that out. We're going to do 3 of these roses. We're going to stamp those, color them in, and then die cut those out. And then from the Elegant Pockets accents, we're going to use this die right here. Beautiful lace die, and I have those already pre-cut right here. So we can put this aside. And we're also using from the birthday sentiments. On the inside, I used "Hope your day is as special as you" right there, and "Happy birthday." And I have those set. I have that set up on my Stamparatus. It's all ready to stamp out. It's all lined up for me. And then from Heartfelt Love Sentiments, I know this is almost all Heartfelt Creations here. Hey Gorgeous for the front. And then from the ornamental tags, there's this die right here. We're going to use that for our little sentiment on the front, and we'll cut that from white, Whisper White cardstock, and then sponge that with Granny Apple Green ink. Will be lovely. See, it's quite lovely. There it is, right there. Then, from the Floral Fashionista die and stamp sets, we're going to do the dress form. Here's one here that I have that I used my Inktense watercolor markers on. On this one, I used the Stampin' Blends and colored it in with that. You can color that in with anything you like. If you prefer pencils, use pencils. If you want watercolors, use watercolors. You want watercolor pencils, use those. You want to use alcohol markers or regular markers. Use whatever you like and you feel most comfortable with. But that's what I used on. I used the Inktense pencils on those, and they are by far my favorite watercolor pencils. But again, having said that, I'm not crazy about watercolor pencils. But those are my favorites of the watercolor pencils. I've tried the Stampin' Ups, I've tried the Primas, I've tried a couple different other brands, and the Inktense, the Derwent Inktense are my favorite watercolor pencils. If that's your thing, try them out. So we're going to do the dress form, and then we're going to use the smallest flowers and the medium-sized flowers on these. We're going to have a whole bunch of those on there. So I've got the stamp set and the die set. And we're going to use our 3D Petite Florals shaping mold to shape them. It's just going to make that a breeze to shape. The big roses on here don't get shaped at all. I just put them on there just how they are. Just popped them up a little bit. But all these little flowers here, we're going to shape those in our mold. It'll go so fast. Now my little red flowers are going to get little black stamens in the middle. My little yellow flowers are going to get just a little drop of the Nuvo drops, and this is oh dear, I didn't put my glasses on. They need to make the print like this big for me, I swear. Ebony Black we're going to be using. And then I have sponge daubers. I'm going to show you a little bit different way of doing the mannequin, the dress form thing. But with pineapple punch, we'll use crumb cake, we'll use Granny Apple Green, pool party, and lovely lipstick. So we'll be using all of those inks. So I have those all right here too. Let's see what else. Of course, we're going to need some glitter. Got to have glitter on there. I used the crystal clear from Heartfelt Creations on this. That's a lovely glitter. I like that a lot. And also, the Spectra glitter is nice too. These are all little hexagon shapes, and they're all about the same size. But this is a little like assortment, and they have a little bit of iridescence to them rather than just sparkle like these. I'm going to add a little iridescent sparkle to my card. And then of course I'll use this, my little tray. You don't have a nifty little tray like this, you can use a piece of just scrap paper or a coffee filter. And I got my Stamparatus here, a foam shaping mat, and I'll need my take your pick tool from Stampin' Up. We're going to be using the smaller ball stylus end on that today. And let's see, what else do we have here that we need to use? Oh, some thick foam or thick dimensional dots. And I don't have any of that right here. So the first break we have, I'll pick up some. But I'm using kind of a thick craft foam because I wanted it to really come up off the paper a lot on these. And I have my designer Dries clear adhesive that I'll be using to attach everything. And also memento Tuxedo Black ink. So let's get some stamping done here first. Let's get the inks out of the way first, and then I'll take off and do something else. So let me get some Whisper White papers in here. I'm going to use a bunch of my scraps. These are all cut-offs from when I do like 5x7 cards, and you get these strips like this from when you cut them out of an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet. So I'm going to be using these for my flowers, and they may or may not fit on there. I've got this piece here for my little Hey Gorgeous banner, and then this piece here for my dress form. Let me stamp the dress form first. I have that on one of my little leaves here. So let me put that in there. And let's see, will that fit on there? No, it will not. So let me move that out like this. And I didn't clean this off very well last time I used it. Let me just lay that on there, and I'll pick it up. And better put a magnet on there because I don't have that right to the edge. There we go. So I'm going to stamp that with the memento Tuxedo Black. That's good if you're working with alcohol markers. This is a good ink for that. Alright. Give that a couple seconds to transfer to my paper, and there's our little dress form. And I'll take this out, and I can turn that around because that will be for our sentiment for the inside there. Alright, so that's done. Now I'm going to stamp my Hey Gorgeous. I have that on the block here already, and this is how I'm going to do that. I'm going to take my die, I'm going to put it cutting side down here, and I'll ink up my stamp. And I need to get up on top of this, so I have to stand up. And stamp it right in that little window. And that way I know I have enough room all the way around here to die cut this out. Now when I die cut this, I'm going to take a bit of a low tack tape, and I'll hold that in place exactly where I want. See, because I can move it around. If I want to go this way more, I could, or this way, move it up, move it down, whatever. But I can affix that to my paper with a little low tack tape. Now we're going to get the bigger flowers and our roses, and we're going to stamp those also in the Tuxedo Black ink. Let me get a piece of paper out here. And stamp. I can stamp a couple of my roses on here. There's one. And two. I can stamp another one on this one. So then that will be our 3. But don't throw scraps away like this, because you can use them. This is perfectly good cardstock. Okay, so we have our 3 roses. And then we need, like I said, we need a whole bunch of these flowers. Let's see, I use 2, 4, 6, 8 of them. And this whole stamp is not going to fit on one of these strips. That feels like heavyweight cardstock there. This is a little bit lighter. I think I'll use the lighter weight cardstock for those. But the entire stamp, I don't think the entire stamp fits on here. Oh, it did. Okay. How many did I count? 2, 4, 6, 8. So I'll stamp this twice. That will give us plenty of flowers. That's 10 flowers altogether. Okay. So now I'll bring in my little stamp. We're going to stamp that with yellow, what is it? Pineapple Punch. So let me grab that. Well, let me see. I think I could fit enough of them on this one, so I'll put that strip aside there. And I'll ink up my little flowers, and I know these are not all going to fit on here. But 2 rows of them do. Can you see that? Let me show you. I don't know how good that yellow shows up on there. But I'll just stamp a couple of those. Maybe 3 of them. That will give us plenty of little yellow flowers. And one more time. See, there we go. And that's it on these. We're not going to color these in at all. I'm not doing any shading or anything on. We're just going to use that little bit, a little hint of yellow on those. So those are ready to be die cut now. Oh, I need that. Leave that out. And let's see. And let's do these. And these I'm going to sponge. Now, I'm going to close this up. I'm not going to use that right this moment. Those I'm going to sponge with Lovely Lipstick. I'm going to sponge it heavier in the centers, so it's darker in the center, and then lightens up from as it goes out to the edges. Okay, so get some of that on my sponge dauber here. I'm going to just tap that out a little bit on my silicone mat just to get that color worked into the sponge, and I'll just start in the center on each of these flowers and start in the center and just fade out. And if you need to, you pick up a little bit more ink there. So we do want them pretty dark in the center. That'll help. Not only are we going to give them actual dimension, but this gives an illusion of dimension too by having the center darker. So again, and I'm just going to do that on all of these. And let me show you how we're going to color in our other roses, our big roses here, and our other piece here. I'm going to bring the camera down a little bit closer so it's hopefully it'll be easier for you to see if I don't get my big fat hands in the way. So let me bring the camera in a little closer. Okay, let's start on this one. That's the biggest piece. And we'll get our little sponge dauber and the pineapple punch, which is the main color in this. And let's see, I need a bit of paper. We'll just use this that we didn't use for the flowers. And we're going to blend in from the outside because we want the most of our color around the edges. I'm going to try to avoid the roses if I can, but I'm sure we'll get a little bit of ink on those too. And just blend that into the center so it's just a little lighter. That'll give a little shape to our dress form here. My mother-in-law had one of these dress forms. I always envied her having a dress form. So I do a lot of crafts. Sewing is one of them. I always thought that was so nice to be able to have a dress form that you could have to your dimensions so you could fit the clothing to it. It's hard to do it when you don't. Okay, we're almost done. Oh, I should move my paper down here. Let me move that down there. And as I suspected, I got a little bit on the roses, but I think we'll be fine. Okay, now we're going to switch to Pool Party. We're going to add just a little bit of Pool Party around the edges. It just makes it a little bit more interesting. Oh, get my paper back. It's just nice to get a little different color in there. Get that all down. Oh, yeah, move that again. Trying to keep my hands out of the way. I don't know how good I'm succeeding at that, but I hope you get the idea of what I'm doing here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We're going to switch to the markers, so let's get these closed up. And get my little spot of ink there white, so we don't get that somewhere we don't want it. And let's see. I'm just going to use the dark, lovely lipstick for the roses. And I seem to have lost my glasses again. There they are. And the light Granny Apple Green for the flowers, and also on these little words to bring them out a little bit more. So let's get all that done. And I'm not doing any shading. These are tiny little things. There's really no room to do any shading on these. So those of you that struggle with markers will be happy to hear that. And just get all those little roses done. Okay. I'm going to stop there because this is nothing terribly exciting. And then I'm just going to color the leaves, and just where there's a spot on the little words as hope, faith, and love on here. Do that whole faith tag, and I'll do love, and then I'll finish that. I'll finish that later when I go to die cut things. I'll have to do that in a little bit. And we'll use Crumb Cake, light and dark. And when you're using these alcohol markers, do remember to keep them capped as soon as you're done using them. When you're doing a large area, pick out small portions of it. And do it little sections at a time. Now I'm just adding the dark in where I think there should be shadows. Then I'm going to go back with the light and blend. So I started with the light, I did the dark shadows, and now I'm just going to go back here. Now on the back of your papers, you're going to see a bleed through. So if you're working on something that you don't want to get ink on, it's a good idea to put something down underneath it to catch the ink, just in case it does bleed totally through on whatever. And I just have this little bit up top here with the crumb cake, so I'll just finish that up. And you might notice I'm going outside the lines. That's when I die cut it, I don't get exactly where I should be. That will help to hide that. Get my dark shadowing on the same side that I did my shadowing on this piece. And this is what I'd call quick and dirty shading, because there's really not a lot of room to work on. And you see, this is going to be so pretty with just very little effort. So let's do our roses. I'll do one of the roses to show you what I did. And I used the light and the dark lovely lipstick. I'm going to try to bring a third color in, which is the light pink pirouette. I don't know how this is going to work, but we'll see. So with the dark lovely lipstick, any place there's a shadow where the roses overlap the petals, just like so. Let me see, how is that? That could even be a little closer. You see how I'm doing this? I don't think I can hold this up. Let me see what I can do to get that a little closer to the camera. This is as close as my tripod lets me get. I'll stack up some more things here. That's a little better. This is such a tiny little piece to color in. Two markers would probably be fine for the blending on such a little thing as this, but I just wanted to, I don't know. I just can't leave things well enough alone. So anywhere you think there's a shadow, and if you were working on something really big, you would just do a little section at a time, not the whole thing like I'm doing here. Because you don't want your inks to dry out in between. And now I'm going to go with the lovely lipstick light. And I'm just going to go over this. I'm going to leave a little bit on the edges here of some of these petals. So I'm going to use the pink pirouette there. And we'll see how that works out. And switching to pink pirouette, and you hear that clicking? I'm closing up my markers in between each use. So let's see. That might work. Look at that. Now this is not blended real well yet. So I'm going to go back with my light, lovely lipstick. I'm going to do some more blending in here. I'm just kind of rubbing it over all the sharper edges of that, between the lovely lipstick light and the dark. Just so there's no hard edge there. And then I'm going to do the same now. I'm going to go with the pink pirouette and blend all around these edges here where those two meet. Just to blend that in a little bit. And you see? It's not so hard. You could just use the lovely lipstick light and dark, and that would be fine. Now I'm going to do the leaves, and I'm using the light Granny Apple Green first. Oh, I hope that's the light one. Let me check, make sure. Oh, I picked up the dark one. I thought that looked a little dark. Okay, there we go. I got the light one now. And we'll just cover those leaves with the light. And now we'll just go in with the dark. And I'm using the paint type tip on each of these. That's the one that has the bold line on it. And I already got some dark on this one. I'll give that a little swipe of dark. A little swipe of dark. I'm just adding just a little second color in there. And I'm not even going to go back. I'm not even going to blend these. I'm just going to do that. And that's how we're going to color the roses. So I need to finish doing that. I have some die cutting I need to do. And then we'll continue on with the card. Well, now I just finished shaping most of the flowers. I used the shaping mold, and this is so very easy to use. You just put your little flower pieces in the corresponding wells here, like so. And you put the lid on, and there's only one way to put it on. There's 3 little feet on the top piece. You see them here in the corners? They fit into these 3 little depressions on the bottom mold. Just put that on there and run it through your die cutting machine without the base plate. You put a cutting plate on top, a cutting plate on the bottom, run it through, and it's like a gigantic embossing folder. For a Cut-A-Bug, that would be 2 B plates. For Big Shot, just the 2 cutting plates. So I've already done that. I've got my flowers all shaped. And I have a whole bunch more than what you're seeing here. But I've already gone ahead with some of these. And for these medium size ones that we colored with the lovely lipstick, we're going to poke a hole in the center. I have my fancy piercing mat here, which is nothing more than a cardboard box. I'm just going to take my piercing tool and poke a little hole in the center. And I like to do this assembly line style. I'll poke all the holes first, and I need them a little bigger than that, I think. Okay, get this out of here. And then I just take my little Stamens. Let me grab a couple of those. I was way too neat. Put them away. Then I put all the Stamens in. And I should probably have my glasses on to do this. Just shove them on through. Yeah, let me put my glasses on because I can't see what I'm doing. Just poke them through the flowers. I need a little bigger hole in this one. I'm just going to just push that in there. That'll make it so much easier. We'll just push that. This one's going to give me a really hard time. Let me make that hole a little bit bigger. I don't want it too big. These flowers aren't all that big. Okay, so I do that with all of the flowers. Put the Stamens through. Pierce the holes all at one time. Then I only have to pick that tool up once. And this actually will fit on the end of my take your pick tool, but I just didn't feel like putting it in it. So then we'll take our glue and we'll glue all of them. Just put a little dab of glue in the center and pull your stamen in place. And I like to give it just a little squeeze to cup the flower up a little bit. And that way you don't have to keep putting the cap back on your glue and then taking it off. So just like that. That's how I did all of these. Now where did I put that one I just did? Because that one, I had a bunch here that are drying. Well, I don't know. I'll find it when I go to cut those little stems off. So that's it for the red ones, and now I'm trying to put my, there we go, got my cap back on my glue. And then for the little yellow ones, I'm going to put just the tiniest little dot of the Nuvo drops in the middle, the Ebony Black. And so what I like to do with this, I squeeze it off over a little piece of paper just to make sure it's not going to spit when I first start. And I'm just going to put the tiniest little dot in the center here. This is more like just in case we happen to be able to see the centers on these. Okay, so just a tiny little dot like that. Now close this up and put it away. And put these off to the side because these are wet. I have other ones. I did a bunch of them and they're drying. Or they're dry. They should be dry by now. When you're working with things that are wet like this, don't be impatient. Do let your pieces dry first. So I've got all of those. Let me just get them up here on a pile. We'll be using those in a little bit. And I have all my roses die cut. I have my leafy bits here with all the nice swirls on it. We just need to do a little bit of sponging. And then there's the lace. I'll put that over here. We need to do a little sponging on this. I'm going to sponge around these edges here. This edge here, I'm just going to snip that right off because that's just going to get in our way. So snip that off. And we're going to edge all around here just a little bit with our crumb cake ink. Oop, I found another little flower. Let me put that there in the pile. So, let's do this one first. That's what we're going to use, the Granny Apple Green on that. And I'll just dab my sponge off on the side here a little bit. I'm just going to come in here and be careful because this lace is very delicate on here. I'm going to sponge all around the edges. Just like that. And a little bit more along here. There. So that's all set now. I'm going to wipe this green up. Give it a little spritz with my cleaner. There we go. And I can close up my Granny Apple Green, then we'll sponge the edge of this piece with our crumb cake. Oh. Trying to open an old style stamp pad the new way. That just didn't work. So it's easiest just to go in here like this. If you don't have a silicone mat, put a piece of paper underneath here. We're just adding just a little bit of this around the edges. We're not getting real crazy with it. It's a very subtle thing to do, is sponging around the edges, but it just, I don't know, it just makes it look more finished. Now I'll clean up my table again here. So I'll end up with crumb cake somewhere I don't want it. And I think we're ready to put our card together. One more thing I did while I was off camera is I did do the inside of the card. I did the rose. I colored the rose in. The only difference on this being that you want to stay inside the lines on this one. And stamp the sentiment on the inside also. So that's ready. I'm going to just take this, and on the back I'm going to use my art glitter Dries clear glue. And this will cover the entire front of the card. Then I'll put my lace on next. My little lacy bits here, and they're going to go on here just like this on the card front. So there's several ways you can do this. I just came across one way to use the double stick sheets, And I think I might be using that more late in the future. But right now I could sponge this on also, and I do that a lot. But I'm just going to put it on right out of the bottle this time. Just anywhere I have a big area I can put a little glue in. You don't want to put a lot on because you don't want it to ooze out. Okay. Oops. Dropped it. And we're just going to put that just right here. And we want this edge to be right to the edge, and we want these two pieces, top and bottom, to go right to the edge. And then we'll do the same with this piece. And you see I'm not being real picky here. If you want the entire thing glued down flat, then probably be better to sponge it. Okay, there we go. And these should just touch here, top and bottom, and that goes right to the edge. There we go. If you have to overlap, do it down at the bottom. That's going to be hidden by flowers anyway. Alright, so now we can put our leaves on. We'll do the same thing with the leaves. Just anywhere I can find a big spot. And this one is going to go right up the side here. Just like this. And then the little ones will go down in this corner. One will come in like this. Let me get that up in the camera. One will come in like this. And one will come over here. This one will be pointing upward. There we go. I'm going to put this piece on. Now I have some craft foam here, and this is the thicker. You can use dots or whatever. I'm just going to put it behind the main body of this and just trace around that with a pencil or a pen, so we get a good idea of where to cut. Because this is a thicker craft foam, it doesn't die cut well. The thin stuff you can actually just die cut and cut this all out. I don't have to be particularly neat because we're not going to see this. Let me just do a quick little test fit. And it could be trimmed just a little bit more. Check it again. Okay, that looks fine. Use the Art Glitter Dries clear glue. Glue that on to the back here. Some more Art Glitter Dries clear glue. We can put that right down the side here, just like this. Let's put our sentiment on next. And we'll do this, pretty much the same thing with this. Let's see, I have a little piece of scrap here. You see there? That's what my cats do. I don't know if you noticed it on this big piece. This is what they do. They chew on my stuff. They love this. They love the sponges. I have to hide my sponges from them. Oop, I should put it on here. That would be better. So put the glue on our foam, attach that. Put a little bit more glue on the back here. Oop, that's kind of thick there. And we're just going to kind of tip it up like this and slide it underneath here. Like so. Just like that. Coming along nice, huh? We're going to use that thick foam to pop up our roses too. And I'm just gonna cut myself like big glue dot type of things here. Yeah, I'll even use this chewed up part. And we'll glue those. Oop. Alright, flip those over. This is exciting, isn't it? Well, it is kind of exciting. We're almost done with the card. We just have to put all of our little flowers on. Those take a bit of time. I might have to stop the camera. I see I'm down to like 6 minutes of recording time left. Okay. Oh, sounds like my husband's home from golf. And I'm going to start with these on the front here. Oh, Pearl, stop. She thinks he's a burglar. I think I'll turn her loose on him. So there we go. We have our flowers down. I am going to stop the video. I'm going to start recording again because I'm almost down. I started attaching the flowers because, well, quite frankly, it's kind of boring to watch. But I'll show you what I'm doing here. So each of these that we put our little stamens on, we're going to just trim those off. Just like that. Easy peasy. And we're just going to use our designer's Dries clear glue to adhere these to the card. I like to put the little bit larger ones, the ones we did with the lovely lipstick, on first. And I'll use my little ball stylus tool here just to press them down to make sure they adhere well and make good contact. Put that one there. Oh, wrong end. There we go. And I think that's it for these guys. I have a couple left over, and I'll put the little yellow ones in, and I just crinkle these up a little bit more, just like that with my fingers. And just kind of tuck them in wherever I can find a little spot for them. We can do a couple of those. I'll go back to doing my assembly line type thing. I'll crinkle up several of them. Okay. So let's see. I want a bunch of them here. So I'm just going to put some glue down here, like so. I'll just tuck those flowers right in there. Oh, that one wants to stick to my finger. Give them a little poke down. And I want a bunch right here, I think. Or a couple of them anyway. Sit that one there. That one there. Give them a little poke. Make sure they make good contact. And that all we have left to do is the glitter then. Let's see, I think I'll put one over here and put one in between here. I think that's enough. I'm going to switch bottles. I'm going to go to my the one that I have the little narrow end on. And I'm just going to go all around the outside of these roses with the glue. And the leaves. And get the leaves on the petals of these, all these little flowers. And there's lots and lots of those. I'm just going to do one section at a time with the glitter because otherwise I'm afraid my glue will start to dry. Let me get that on this rose and these leaves. I'll bring my little tray in here. And sprinkle on the glitter. Get that glittered up real well. And continue on. Put glue on. Glue all around my rose, glue on the leaves. Get these, and you want to be careful if you haven't let your flowers set up and get properly dry. You don't want to knock them off while you're putting the glue on. And bring my tray back. And then once that dries, that's going to be totally clear, that glue. And we got lots of pretty sparkle on there. So there's the card we just did. And here's the one with the other paper in the background. So I think they're both pretty. I wouldn't be embarrassed to give either one of these to someone for their birthday. So if you've liked this video, be sure to hit that like button down below. I do check those things, and it's very encouraging to see the like buttons. If you're going to give me a thumbs down, then please tell me why, because if there's something I can do to improve my videos, it would be helpful to know why somebody doesn't like something in my video. If there are any Stampin' Up! Products that you'd like to purchase, you can do that either through my website or my blog, or my Facebook page. And as always, I'll list all the materials and the tools that I use down below. So, y'all, take care, stay safe, and happy stampin'.